My work on crime control draws on two social scientific traditions. One is behavioral economics. How do you do appropriate nudge strategies that push people in the direction you want to push them in? Adjusting for the fact that they're not perfectly rational. And the other is game theory. Right? Even if people were perfectly rational, in a situation where there are many people breaking the law, then the risk faced by each one of them of being punished depends on how many other people are breaking the same law, how much enforcement we have. And that's what leads me to say, concentrate. A level of enforcement that's completely inadequate to control everybody can be more than adequate to control somebody. And once somebody's behavior comes under control, then you can slowly expand the range of control, never violating your sanctions capacity constraint. You have to make sure never to utter more threats than you can deliver on, considering how many times that threats will be ignored. So once your threats are credible, you can issue a lot of checks against a small amount of cash because the checks aren't going to be cashed. Until your threats are credible, you better have a sanction available for every threat you issue. There are probably now, there used to be 6, there are probably a dozen major drug trafficking organizations in Mexico. All of them making a living primarily by selling drugs to the U.S. They're not vertically integrated. I mean, they do not have people on the streets of Chicago. They sell bulk drugs to U.S. middlemen who sell them to U.S. dealing organizations. The Drug Enforcement Administration believes that for every major drug dealing organization in the U.S., they can mark out one or more of the big Mexican organizations as the source. Imagine we took one of those big organizations, selected it based on its record of violence, and attacked every U.S. distributor who's selling their drugs, and announced that. I think the U.S. distributors would find new sources pretty quickly, and you would have put your target organization out of business, basically given them a case of commercial leprosy where nobody wanted to touch their stuff. Imagine you've done that once and now announce, we're running the contest again. We're going to find the next most dangerous dealing organization. I claim that everybody will look around and try to be less violent than the guy next to him. And with any luck, you can generate a race to the bottom in rates of violence. My favorite Far Side cartoon, you're looking through a gun sight and you see 2 bears, and one is right in the crosshairs, and then there's another bear standing next to him. And the one in the crosshairs is going, that's what you want. You want everybody saying, hey, he's more violent than I am, why don't you attack him? And eventually you're holding everybody's U.S. drug market hostage to their willingness not to kill people. Somebody once said that it's inherently immoral to order somebody to do something that's impossible. And I think there's been a lot of that in drug policy. The drug-free society was not a possible goal, and pursuing it led people to do foolish things and to believe that they were failing when they could have been succeeding. If we define the job of drug law enforcement as reducing the violence committed by drug dealers and the crime committed by drug users, that is an achievable goal. So we can limit the violence by dealers by identifying high-risk markets and shutting them down. That's the David Kennedy high point approach. Identify all of the dealers in a market area, identify which ones are violent, send them off to prison. Identify the ones that aren't violent, make buys from them, then call them all in for a meeting and say, okay, all of you have to stop right now, or you're going to prison. And the difference between that and routine drug law enforcement is that routine drug law enforcement takes away one dealer at a time. Just creates a niche for a new dealer. The customers are still coming. If you take away all of the dealers at once, the customers come and there's nobody to buy from. Then the customers stop coming and you've destroyed the market. The market is a focal point. It only exists because people think it will exist. And if you can disrupt it for long enough, which is not very long, weeks, you can kill it. And you can do that without putting a lot of people in prison. So I think of the High Point approach as the low arrest drug market crackdown. We are learning how to control drug market violence and drug market disorder. We're learning how to control drug-involved offenders. And the main issue now is whether we can take what we already know how to do and make it national policy. Do it at full scale. That's something that's going to take years, but shouldn't take many years. There's no reason that 10 years from now, violence minimizing drug law enforcement and offender control based on the principles of swift and certain but mild sanctions shouldn't be standard practice, and that's what I'm hoping for.